The village of Aaron was quiet. Not because it was boring simply like that. Small, peaceful, with a rhythm that repeated year after year, and in that repetition there was something good. Spring fields, summer work, autumn harvest, winter fire in the hearth, and stories from the elders. Calvaries knew this village like the back of his hands. 9 years he had lived here his entire life. Knew every path in the forest beyond the eastern border. Knew where the best fishing spots in the river were. Knew that old Master Born hid a keg of apple wine behind the smithy and thought no one knew. He knew. Father a blacksmith. Large, good-natured, with permanently soot-covered hands. Taught Cal to hold the hammer. Don't grip it. Just hold it. The hammer knows where to fall. Laughed loudly, loud enough for the whole street to hear. Mother and herbalist. Quiet, attentive, with hands that always smelled of something green and warm. Taught Cal to read the sky. You see those clouds? Rain tomorrow. Bring in the laundry. Older sister Ana, 16 years old. Already arrangements made with the Torn family for a wedding next spring. Grumbled at Cal when he stole her ribbons for his slingshot, but fed him in secret when father wouldn't let him sit at the table for something. An ordinary village. An ordinary family. An ordinary life. Cal didn't know then that ordinary ends quickly, and without warning. That day was a good one. Later, much later, in the darkness underground, Cal would recall it again and again. Every detail, as if remembering in enough detail could bring it back. In the morning, he helped his father in the smithy. Held the blank while father struck. The heat from the forge, the ring of the hammer, the smell of hot metal. Good, said his father. Hands aren't shaking. In a year, we'll start teaching you for real. Cal smiled. In a year. In the afternoon, he ran with friends by the river. Tavin fell in the water. Everyone laughed. Then everyone fell on themselves. Came home wet. Got scolded. Standard. In the evening dinner, mother set out soup, bread, a bowl of apples. Outside it was getting dark. Ana was telling something about Torn, father listening with that look people have when they're not very interested but have to be. Cal looked out the window. It was getting dark faster than usual. He noticed this. Didn't understand what it meant, simply noticed. Clouds, he said to his mother. She raised her eyes. Looked out the window. Not clouds, she said quietly. Her voice different. Cal turned. Saw her face. Mother was looking at the horizon to the north. There aglow. Small, orange. Girton is burning, she said. Girton, the neighboring village. 3 kilometers to the north. Father stood up from the table. Sharply, the chair scraped. Outside someone screamed. Then everything happened very fast. Cal remembered not in sequence, but in flashes. Like a broken mirror, each shard separate. Screams outside, many, all at once. Father grabs the hammer from the wall, not the smithing one, the battle one, which had hung there for as long as Cal could remember and which father had never taken down. Mother grabs Cal, and Ana drags them to the back room. Under the bed. Quiet. Don't come out. The sounds outside different. Not human screams, something else. Shrieking, rasping, something guttural and short. Commands in a language Cal didn't know. A crack the wall of the house. Something large struck from outside. Ana was pressing her hand over her mouth. Cal lay beside her under the bed and stared at the floorboards 10 centimeters from his face. Breathed. The sound of fighting outside. Father. Loud. Furious. The hammer was working. Cal heard the blows. Heard things falling. Father was strong. Then a sound Cal didn't want to hear. Heavy. Single. Wet. Then silence. Then footsteps inside the house. Heavy, uneven. A smell sharp, dirty, foreign crept under the bed. Mother came out of hiding herself. There is only me here, said her voice. Leave. There is nothing more here. A pause. Laughter short, guttural. Then the sound of a blow. Mother fell. Cal saw her legs. She didn't move. A face peered under the bed. Green, wide, with yellow eyes and crooked teeth jutting from below. A goblin Cal knew from fairy tales. Thought they were fairy tales. The goblin looked at him, and Ana smiled. They were dragged out from under the bed by their legs. Cal fought. With teeth, nails, everything he had. A 9-year-old boy against a goblin, that's not a fight. It's a formality. The goblin received a bite on the hand, snarled, struck Cal across the head. Darkness. Came to outside. Night. The village was burning, not all of it. Several houses. Fire eating the wooden roofs greedily. Prisoners around. He saw them immediately. Several women from the village. 2 older boys. Tavin, his friend with bound hands and a split lip. And Ana beside him. alive, looking at him in her eyes fear and something else. Something that said, hold on. Please, hold on. The guards, goblins, and orcs. Orcs large, dull-looking but with clubs and spears. Goblins small, fussy, dangerous in their unpredictability. And one stood out. A hobgoblin. Larger than a regular goblin, almost human in height. Reddish skin, sharp wicked eyes, a short sword at his belt. Looking at the prisoners the way a merchant looks at goods. Appraisingly. Cal looked at him. The hobgoblin caught his gaze. Walked over to him. Looked him over quickly, keenly. Shoulders, arms, legs. Nodded to himself. Said something in his own language. The goblin beside him translated badly, with an accent. You are sturdy. You will work long. Good. Then a chain. Metal, heavy on the wrist. The other into the common chain with the rest. The prisoners were driven north. Cal walked and did not cry. There was no strength to cry. There was emptiness. Large, cold, where everything else used to be. Father, he thought. Mama. Footsteps. The chain jingled. The village of Aaron was left behind burning, quiet no longer. 2 days' march into the mountains. The prisoners were not fed the first day. On the second something was thrown to them. Cal didn't look at what exactly. Ate because his body demanded it. Not because he wanted to. Aina stayed close the whole time. Spoke quietly sometimes, carefully, when the guards couldn't hear. Cal, look at me. Cal, I'm looking, he said. We're alive. As long as we're alive, there's a chance. He nodded. Didn't believe it, simply nodded. The cave opened in the rock unexpectedly. Not an entrance, a gap. Wide, dark, going downward. Torches on the walls gave light yellow, flickering, more shadow than light. Inside it was large. Much larger than Cal expected. Not one cave, a system. Tunnels went off in different directions, branches, levels. Somewhere below the sound of water, an underground river. And there were many creatures here. Goblins everywhere. Hundreds. Hobgoblins fewer, but noticeable. Orcs the largest, occupying the best spots by the fires. The smell, dampness, smoke, something rotten, fear that had soaked into the walls. The prisoners were separated immediately, quickly, without explanation. Women into one tunnel. The older boys into another. Tabin somewhere else. Aina with the women. She grabbed his hand when they realized they were being separated. Cal. A goblin struck her hand with the shaft of a spear. She cried out. Opened her fingers. Aina began Cal. A blow to the back of the head. Darkness. Came to alone. In a small side niche. A chain on his leg short, to a ring in the wall. Silence. Somewhere water dripped. Cal lay on the cold stone and stared into the darkness. Aina, he thought. Mama. Papa. Cried at last. For a long time, soundlessly. Until there was nothing left. Then stopped. Lay and breathed. Alive, he told himself. As long as you're alive, there's a chance. Aina said so. Alive. Work began the next day. Goblins are not stupid. That became clear quickly. Cruel, yes. Rough. But not stupid. They had a system. Workers did what they were told or received pain. Simple as that. Cal hauled stone. The caves were being expanded, goblins dug. Slaves hauled. Heavy baskets of rubble. Up the tunnel. Dump into the spoil heap. Back. Again. Again. Until dark, until they dropped. Fed twice a day. Thin soup. Hard bread. Enough not to die. Other slaves, there were more of them than Cal first thought. People of various ages, from different places. Most broken. You could tell by their eyes. They looked there nowhere. Cal looked where he needed to. Memorized. The first month he was silent. Listened. Studied the goblins' language, not deliberately, simply heard it constantly. By the end of the month, understood simple commands. By the end of 2, understood almost everything. The goblins didn't know he understood. That was the first weapon. Saw Aina rarely, sometimes at common work. Clearing waste, carrying water. She was alive. That Cal checked every time. Alive means everything else later. The first year taught him 3 things. First, patience. When they hit, don't react beyond what was necessary. Fell, got up, keep working. Those who reacted strongly got more. Those who stayed silent got less. Simple math. Second, economy. The body is a resource. Work steadily, without unnecessary movement. Eat everything given, even if disgusting. Sleep at every opportunity. The resource must be preserved. Third, observation. Guard rotations. The habits of the overseers. Which goblin is where and when. What they like. What they fear. Who is smart. Who is dull. Who is cruel by nature. who by order. Knowledge the second weapon. For now the only one. At the end of the first year, Cal was the same boy on the outside. Thin, dirty, with a chain on his leg. Inside no longer. In the third month Nya appeared. A new batch of slaves. Several people from a village even further south. Among them a girl, roughly his age. Dark hair, light eyes, a gaze not yet broken but close to it. Her name was Nya. The first few days she didn't speak to anyone. Sat by the wall at mealtimes, did what she was told, looked at the floor. Cal approached, sat down beside her, in silence, didn't demand conversation. On the third day she spoke herself. You've been here long. 3 months. And what you just work? For now, yes. She looked at him. And that's all? No, said Cal. Not all. I'm learning. What is there to learn here? Everything, he said. Them. This place. Myself. Nya was silent for a long time. My parents were killed, she said. Mine too. Silence. What about your sister? She asked. She had seen Aina at work. Alive, said Cal. As long as she's alive, everything else later. Nya looked at him, then nodded. Slowly. Good, she said. They didn't become friends right away. That word was too light for the place they were in. They became allies. 2 children in the darkness who were better off together than apart. That matters too. 6 months Cal worked and observed. Then he began to train. In secret, that is the only way. At night, in his niche, when the guard changed, and there was a short pause, 15 minutes, sometimes 20. He knew the time precisely, had studied it. First exercise simple. Push-ups. As quietly as possible on the cold stone. First time 5. No more. His arms shook. Good, Cal told himself. 6 tomorrow. 6 tomorrow. 7 the day after. A week later, 15. The body responded slowly. Poor food, heavy work, little sleep, poor conditions for growth. But the body responded. That was what mattered. Nya saw him once by accident. Woke up while he was doing the exercises. Watched in silence. Why? She asked in a whisper. Because someday strength will be needed, he said. Better to have it. Someday is when. I don't know. But it will come. Nya thought for a minute. Then lay down beside him on the stone. Show me, she said. From then on they trained together. The second year brought the first truly heavy moment. The overseer, a hobgoblin named Kret. Not dull, like most, cruel with purpose. Not by nature, by choice. That's worse. Kret noticed Cal. Not because he was doing anything wrong. Simply noticed. Some overseers chose someone and focused on them. Kret chose Cal. It began with small things. A heavier basket. Less time to eat. A blow when there was no need, just because. Cal endured. Kept count. Inside. Then Kret found a worse way. Aina worked in the kitchen duties. A relatively safe place. Kret transferred her to the quarry. Cal watched her drag a basket of stone heavy. Not for a woman. Falls. Gets up. Drags again. Kret watched Cal when he did this. Smiled. He understood, Cal thought. He found how to press. Through her. For the first time in a year, he felt something he didn't know how to name then. Later he would find the word. Rage. Dark, hot, alive. It came from somewhere below, from that emptiness that had been there since the first night. And the emptiness began to fill with it. Not immediately. Slowly. But it began. For 3 years Cal didn't understand what was happening to his hands. Sometimes during nighttime, training, his palms burned. Not from work. From within, like the heat of coals under the skin. Started on its own, without cause, lasted a few seconds, faded. He thought exhaustion. Or illness. In the 3rd year, an old slave named Cern explained. Cern was unusual. Not young, calm, with that quality of people who have seen much and stopped being surprised. Had ended up here 7 years ago. Worked quietly, ate little, spoke rarely. One day he sat down beside Cal during a meal. Looked at his hands. You're a mage, he said. What? Cal looked at him. Not a big one yet. Small. But there. Cern nodded at his palms. The core is forming. Slowly, without training. On its own. How do you know? You can see it, said Cern. I was a mage before I ended up here. Weak, but I was. Cal looked at him. Why don't you use it? Because I'm weak, said Cern simply. My level is lighting a candle. Useless against an orc. And mine. Yours, Cern thought. I don't know. But your core is dark. Dark cores grow fast. Dark how? As they say, it feeds on pain and rage. A pause. Do you get angry often? Constantly, said Cal. Then, said Cern, it's growing. Cern taught briefly, practically, without unnecessary words. The core is the center. Find it. It's inside, not outside. Close your eyes and search for warmth that doesn't come from the body. Cal closed his eyes at night. Searched. The first 2 weeks, nothing comprehensible. The warmth was that same warmth in his palms, but not the center. In the 3rd week, he found it. Between the ribs, slightly to the left. Small. Hot. Alive, precisely alive, not just warmth. It pulsed. Not in time with the heart separately. There you are, Cal thought. The core responded. Not with words. Just the heat intensified for a second, as if it had heard. Good, Cal said to it. We need to grow. Heat again. CERN explained further quietly. At night, while the guards couldn't hear, a dark core is rare. Most mages develop their core through meditation and calm. Yours is the opposite. Pain, anger, despair, that's its food. The harder things are for you, the faster it grows. A pause. That's bad for a person. Good for power. What does bad for a person mean? It means it will change you. It already is. CERN looked at him. You're not the same as you were 3 years ago. No. When it grows, it will change you even more. A pause. Watch yourself. Anger is fuel, not the driver. Cal remembered. Didn't fully understand then, but remembered. By 3 years, the body had changed. Not quickly, not sharply. Slowly, the way a tree grows unnoticed day by day. Noticeable when you look back after a year. Shoulders wider. Arms different. Not muscles like the heroes in fairy tales, dense. Working, with tendons visible under the skin. Heavy labor every day, the best trainer. Push-ups at night 100 at a time. Easy. Pull-ups on a ledge of rock 30. Work. Squats with a stone 200. Habit. The body had grown accustomed to the load. But the load in training must be greater than the load in work, otherwise there is no growth. Cal added. Stone heavier. More repetitions. Less time. Nya trained alongside. She is different physically, smaller, but more technical. CERN taught her separate things. The girl turned out to be flexible and fast. What came to Cal through effort came to her through instinct. Together they found movement. Not fighting in the sense of technique, simply how to move efficiently. They watched the orcs during work shifts, how they stand, how they hold weapons, where the weak points are. Memorized. Broke it down at night. The core grew. By 3 years, the heat in the palms had become controllable. Cal could summon it. Not always, not reliably, but he could. CERN watched this with the quiet satisfaction that teachers have when they see the seed has sprouted. A dark core grows fast, he said. You get angry well. I try, said Cal. CERN smirked. For the first time in 3 years. 5 years in the cave. Cal varies at 14 was different. Tall now, almost a head taller than most goblins. Thin, but with that hard, lean strength that is more dangerous than bulk, every muscle earned, not given by nature. Hands large for his age. Face closed. Eyes dark, almost bottomless. Those who knew him from before the village of Aaron would not have recognized him. Inwardly different too. That Cal who had cried on the cold stone on the first night had not disappeared, but had gone deep, covered over by what had grown on top. Something dark and cold and very patient. The anger was constant. Not hot anymore. Cold. Like coals that don't burn but smolder. That's worse. That doesn't pass. The core had grown considerably. CERN said he had not seen cores like it. The dark core had fed on 5 years of pain, humiliation, loss, and grown. Cal felt it as a separate part of himself. Hot, alive, hungry. Control had come. Not complete, but the heat from his palms he could summon when he wanted. Hold it for 30 seconds. 40. Sometimes a minute. A strike with the core is different. He tested it on stones. A Class B stone cracked from a fist with the core. Without the core it didn't. A weapon, he thought. Growing. But the main event of the 5th year was not that. Cal found out by chance. Overheard a conversation between 2 hobgoblins had known their language for a long time. 5 years of constant hearing. They were talking about slaves. About who to keep, who to sell. They said Aina's name. Cal froze. Listen without moving. A sale somewhere else. Another camp, farther away. In 3 days. 3 days. He found Aina that same evening. A rare chance shared work duty, managed to approach. She had aged 21 years, but her eyes were older. Much older. I heard, he said quietly. She looked at him. For a long time. I know, she said. 3 days. I know. Aina, Cal. She took his hand. Quickly, imperceptibly, the guard nearby. Listen to me. You'll get out. I know you're doing something at night. I don't know what. But I can see it. A pause. When you get out live. Do you hear? Don't just take revenge. Live. Aina, promise me. Cal looked at her. At the sister who at 16 had held his hand when they were dragged out from under the bed. At the person who had said hold on when there was nothing to hold on to. I can't promise, he said. She looked at him. I know, she said at last. Then just get out. Get out alive. Everything else you'll decide yourself. The guard barked for them to separate. Aina let go of his hand. 3 days later, she was gone from the cave. Cal worked that day. Hauled stone. Again and again. In silence. The anger inside grew a little larger. The core a little hotter. In the 6th year, Cern died. Not from the goblins. Simply the body. He was old. The work was hard. The food was poor. The body decided it was enough. Cal sat beside him when it happened. Nya on the other side. Cern spoke quietly near the end. Listen, he said to Cal. A dark core is rare. But there is one more thing. When the anger becomes large enough to break something inside the core breaks through. It's called a rage breakthrough. I've heard of such things. Haven't seen one. A pause, heavy. After the breakthrough, the power is of a different order. But the person is different too. Watch that there's enough of yourself left inside. That there's something worth saving after. All right, said Cal. And one more thing, said Cern. His voice very quiet. You're a good boy. You stayed one in spite of everything. A pause. That's rarer than a dark core. He closed his eyes. Did not open them again. Cal sat beside him for another hour. Then stood. Nya stood beside him. They said nothing. There was no need. The 8th year brought a second blow. Nya. She had found a way to escape. Not by force, by cunning. She had studied the cave for 8 years, knew it better than most goblins. Found an old ventilation tunnel narrow, which seemed to have been forgotten. Wide enough for her. She told Cal at night quietly, quickly. We go together, he said. You won't fit, she said. Your shoulders. He knew. She was right. The tunnel was too narrow. Then wait. Cal. She looked at him. I've been here 8 years. I can't anymore. A pause. You can. You somehow can. But I can't. I need to go now. They'll find you in the forest. Maybe. But I'll try. Firmly. Without hysteria. You've been training for 8 years. You'll break free when the time comes. She squeezed his hand. When you get out live. Do you hear? Not only take revenge. Live. Aina had said the same thing. I hear you, said Cal. Nya went into the tunnel. Quietly, quickly. The last thing he saw her feet, then the darkness of the tunnel. Then nothing. In the morning, an uproar. The goblins noticed. A search. The tunnel was found, sealed. Nya was not found. She got out, Cal thought. Good. Good that she got out. The niche became very quiet. The 9th year was a turning point. Cal understood this when it happened, not immediately, later. A new overseer, Hobgoblin Trek. Kret by that time had disappeared somewhere, maybe died somewhere, maybe transferred. Trek was different. Not purposefully cruel. Simply cruel with indifference. Which is worse. Indifferent cruelty is not personal. You can't explain it or predict it. It simply is. Trek chose Cal not because he had noticed him, but because Cal was nearby when Trek needed someone to take it out on. 3 blows. Cal fell. Got up. Received 2 more. Lay on the stone. Breathed. And felt something break. Not bone. Inside. As if a dam that had been holding something for 9 years had cracked. One crack. Thin. And through it something began to flow. Hot. Cal lay down. Closed his eyes. Listened. The core churned. Not growing calmly as before. Churning like water in a pot with a fire lit beneath it. There it is, Cal understood. What Cern had spoken of. The breakthrough. But not the time. Trek nearby. Other goblins nearby. If the breakthrough happens now, they'll understand. They'll strike with everything they have while he's helpless in the middle of the process. No, he said to the core. Not now. Wait. The core boiled. Wait, he repeated. Out loud, quietly. Trek paid no attention, assumed he was mumbling from the pain. Got up. Took the basket. Went to work. The core boiled all day. All night. 3 days after. Cal held it. Controlled it. Barely. On the 4th day, he found a secluded place in a far tunnel where they were sometimes sent for water. Stood against the wall. Closed his eyes. Said to the core, go. The breakthrough happened quietly. That was strange. He had expected an explosion. Pain. Something loud. It was quiet. Something inside came apart. The way a seam in fabric comes apart when it's been pulled too long. And through that seam something poured. Heat through the whole body. Fingertips. Feet. Head. Then darkness. Came to in the same place. Didn't know how much time had passed. His hands glowed faintly, barely visible, reddish. He looked at them, then clenched his fist. The stone of the wall beside him cracked. Without touching it, simply from the clenched fist, half a meter away. There it is, Cal thought. In the 10th year, Cal prepared. Did not rush. That's important, not to rush when you're close. It's precisely when you're close that people slip. They think it's already possible and act before it's time. Cal waited. Prepared. After the breakthrough, the core stabilized at a new level. The power different. Not a jump of 2 times. A different order. A Class A stone cracked from a strike without the core. With the core, it crumbled to dust. The chain on his leg double, heavy. Cal had studied it for 2 years. The metal quality for goblin manufacture. Hardened. The links thick. He tested it at night carefully, little by little. Pulled. Listened to how the metal responded. The metal responded. He understood it was possible. With a full core release, it was possible. It would be enough. He counted the goblins. How many guards at night? How many during the day? Where the hobgoblins sleep. Where the orcs are. Orcs 9. Hobgoblins 15. Regular goblins he didn't count, didn't matter. Regular ones are not dangerous one-on-one. Dangerous in a group, with support. The exit, the main tunnel to the surface. 300 meters. 2 turns. At each turn, a post. 2 goblins. At night, Cal decided. Guard rotation. 15-minute window. He chose a date a month out. Not today and not tomorrow. A month out because there was something else that needed to be done. He needed to say goodbye. Few of the slaves he knew remained. Most were broken, unable or unwilling to leave. But some were different. He found 3. Spoke to each one separately. Briefly. In a month there will be an opportunity. I'll create a disturbance. You run down the side tunnel to the east. There's a gap in the rock there. I checked. Tight, but you'll fit. Beyond that, the forest. The 3 looked at him differently. One nodded right away. The second thought for a long time, then nodded. The third shook his head. They'll kill us, said the third. Maybe, Cal agreed. But it's a chance. No, said the man. Too long ago. I don't remember what outside is like. Cal looked at him. Broken, he understood. Not the body. The mind is broken. That's worse. All right, he said. I understand. The last evening before Cal sat in his niche. Looked at the chain. 10 years. He thought of his mother, the smell of herbs and green things. Of his father, the ring of the hammer, soot-covered hands. Of Tavin, who fell in the river, and everyone laughed. He thought of Aina, get out. Everything else you'll decide yourself. Of Niel, live. Not only take revenge. Of Cern, stayed a good boy. Did I, Cal thought. I don't know. I hope so. Closed his eyes. The core pulsed quietly. Tomorrow, he said to it. Ready? The heat steady, strong, certain. Ready. Midnight. Guard rotation. Cal lay and counted seconds to 500. 500 seconds after the start of the rotation, the quietest time. The new shift had just taken over, not yet in rhythm. The old one had left. A transitional silence. At 500 he got up, took the chain in both hands. Found with his palms the third link from the bracket in the wall. There was a small notch there. He could find this place with his eyes closed. Breathed. Slowly gathered the core. Without rushing, this is important. A rushed release is imprecise. Part of it will go astray. Whether what's left is enough is a question. Slow, concentrated. The heat in his palms rose. A reddish glow faint, on the edge of visible. In the darkness, it seemed brighter. More. His chest burned. The core giving much, all at once. It hurt. He was used to pain. On the count of 3, he squeezed. Didn't yank, squeezed. With everything he had. The core struck into the metal through his palms. The chain didn't break immediately. A second of nothing. Then a sound. Quiet. Almost inaudible, like when you snap a dry branch. The metal had failed from the core's strike. The third link came apart. Cal exhaled. Slowly. Free. Stood for several seconds. Listened. Silence. No one had heard. Good. Took what he had prepared beforehand, a piece of stone sharpened on one side, wrapped in cloth. Not a weapon, a tool for the first stage. He moved. The first post, 2 goblins at the turn. Sitting. One dozed. The second was picking at his teeth with something. A torch above them, a yellow spot in the darkness. Cal approached along the shadow side. 10 years in the cave had taught him to move where there was no light. His feet felt the floor where the stone was level, where the gaps were. Not a single unnecessary sound. 3 meters. 2. The one who was dozing sensed something. Raised his head. Cal was already beside him, a strike with the back of his palm to the temple. Without the core enough. The goblin softly. With the other hand, Cal caught the body before it fell. The second turned around, opened his mouth. Cal struck the second quickly, precisely. The second slumped without a sound. Both alive for now. Cal bound them with Rag's hands, feet, mouths. Dragged them into the shadow. First post cleared. 40 seconds. Moved on. The second post was harder. For goblins. One hobgoblin. Not expected something had changed in the schedule. Cal stopped in the darkness. Watched. 4. The hobgoblin was not asleep. For without sound wasn't going to work. He thought for 10 seconds. 3 yes. The fourth would have time to raise the alarm. So the fourth needed to not have time. A directed core release. This is a difficult technique. He had practiced it rarely. The core outward, not through a strike through the air. A wave. Small, precise. Exhaled. Gathered the core. Directed it at the hobgoblin. The wave passed. Invisible, quiet. The hobgoblin flinched. Grabbed his head. Sat down. 1 second of disorientation. Cal stepped into the torchlight. Fast, very fast. First goblin strike to the throat. Second strike, pivot. Third. The hobgoblin had managed to stand. Cal took him by the neck and struck his head against the wall. The fourth goblin cried out. Cal was already beside him. Strike to the solar plexus. Second to the head. The goblin went down. Cal looked around. Silence for a second. 2. The cry had been quiet. The corridors of the goblin cave swallowed sound. But not completely. Somewhere deep movement. Voices. They had heard. Not all of it, but someone. The window of time had closed. Now differently. Cal stood straight. Squared his shoulders. Looked into the darkness of the tunnel from which the voices were coming. 10 years he had hidden his strength. 10 years quietly. Carefully. Economically. Enough. The first 3 came out of a side tunnel running, with torches. Regular goblins, with short spears. They saw Cal. Stopped. He stood in the center of the corridor. Alone. Unarmed. In the tattered clothes of a slave with a fragment of chain on his leg. The goblin on the left shouted something the slave has escaped in their language. Then laughed. Then moved forward. Cal took a step toward him. The goblin slowed. Something about that movement was wrong. Slaves don't step toward you. Slaves back away. Or fall. Or scream. This one stepped forward. And in his hands it glowed. Reddish, dark, wrathful. The first goblin reached him. Spear forward, a thrust at the stomach. Cal dodged. Slightly, a few centimeters. The spear passed by. A hand seized the shaft. A yank toward himself. A pivot. The goblin lost his balance. An elbow strike to the nose. The goblin went down. The second came at him from the side. Cal met him with his forearm. An upward strike to the chin. A crack. The second went down. The third stopped. Watched. Cal looked at him. The third goblin dropped his spear. Turned around. Ran back into the darkness. Run, Cal thought. Tell the others. Let them know what's coming. Beyond that point it was not quiet. The alarms spread through the cave. Torches flickered in the tunnels. Voices from all sides. The cave was waking up. Cal walked forward. Didn't run, walked. Steady, methodical. The tunnel to the exit still 200 meters. 2 turns. He knew everyone. From the right branch, Fur came running. Saw him, attacked immediately, without words. More experienced than those 3, they moved in coordination. The first a spear. Cal left, the spear passed. Grabbed the arm, twisted it, threw the goblin into the second. Both fell. The third leaped from above. Cal caught him in the air, drove him into the wall. The fourth struck with a club on the shoulder. There was pain. Cal noted it and set it aside. Struck back with the core. A fist with red glow into the chest. The fourth goblin flew back. Hit the opposite wall. Stayed there. The shoulder hurt. Not broken. Functional. Forward. Around the second turn they were waiting. Not just goblins. 5 hobgoblins stood across the tunnel. Each with a sword or axe. Torches on both sides, bright. A primitive trap, but effective. A narrow tunnel, 5 armed fighters, 1 exit. The hobgoblin in the center, Cal knew him. Dern, one of the senior overseers. Smart. By hobgoblin standards, very smart. You've come a long way, slave, said Dern in his own language. Cal understood every word. 10 years calm. What happened? Cal didn't answer. Broke the chain, said Dern. Interesting. He looked at the reddish glow on Cal's hands. A mage. You're a mage. You were hiding it. Yes, said Cal. The first word in this conversation. Why show it now? Because there's no longer any reason to hide it. Dern looked at him. Assessed something. 1 against 5 poor odds. For whom? Silence. Dern nodded. The 5 moved forward. Cal exhaled. Gathered the core fully. Everything that had come after the breakthrough. Everything accumulated over 10 years. The red glow on his hands grew brighter, no longer dark. Saturated. The core of malice, pain. 10 years of darkness, now it was giving everything. The first hobgoblin axe from above downward. Cal didn't dodge. Stepped forward inside the distance. The axe passed behind his shoulder. A strike to the ribs from below with the core of the hobgoblin doubled over. A second strike to the back of the head downward. The second sword horizontally. Cal ducked under the blade. Seized the wrist. A yank the sword in his hand. Turned the third hobgoblin already close. A sword strike taken on the forearm sharp, pain shifted the sword, struck with the pommel into the face. A crack. The fourth came from 2 sides, smart. Cal felt him behind, not saw, felt. The core had learned to react to movement nearby over the years. Dropped down to 1 knee. The fourth missed. Cal turned on his knee and struck the hobgoblin's knee from below. It cracked for real. He fell. Dern waited. The last one. Watching. Cal stood. Breathing hard, the fight fast. The core spends much. The forearm bleeding, a cut from a sword. The shoulder from the club earlier ached. But he was standing. Dern looked at him. In the sharp, wicked eyes, something new. Fear. For the first time in 10 years, Cal saw fear in an overseer's eyes. You are not an ordinary slave, said Dern quietly. No, Cal agreed. What are you? Calvaries, said Cal. From the village of Aaron. Your people killed my family. 10 years ago. Dern didn't move. I remembered every day here, said Cal. Evenly. Without rage in his voice, the rage was all in the core. The voice was cold. Every name. Every blow. A pause. Go. What? Go, Cal repeated. Or I'll kill you here. Dern looked at him for a second. 2. Then stepped back. Again. Turned. Walked into the darkness quickly, not running, with dignity. A hobgoblin with dignity. Cal watched him go. Why did I let him go? To himself. Cern said, watch that there's enough of yourself left inside. Killing everyone in sight is not the way out. That's transformation. I kill those who get in the way. The rest can live. While they get in the way, I kill. When they don't get in the way, live. Turned. Walked toward the exit. The orcs were waiting at the main tunnel. All 9. Cal stopped. Looked. Orcs are different from goblins. Large, with real warrior bearing. Not smart, but not dull either. The instinct of a fighter, experience. Technique works less well with these. Raw strength is needed. He had it. But 9 orcs at once, that's a lot even with the core. The core was spinning down, the fights behind had taken much. What remained? Would it be enough for 9? The lead orc stepped forward. Enormous, scarred, with a 2-handed axe. Looked at Cal, at the chain fragment, at the bleeding forearm, at the red glow of his hands. Barked something in Orcish. Cal knew Orcish less well than Goblin. Something about 1 human and 9 of them. Cal answered in Goblin. They should have understood. Leave. I didn't come to kill you. I'm leaving. The orcs exchanged glances. Then the lead one laughed. Short, rough. Raised the axe. All right, Cal thought. They didn't want to. This was a different fight. Not technical like with the hobgoblins. The orcs gave no space. They pressed with mass, numbers, weight. The first orc axe horizontally. Cal leaped back. The axe passed in front of his face. The second orc already from the side, with a shoulder. Slammed. Cal flew into the wall. Got up. 2 piled on, seized his arms. The third with a fist to the face. Once. Twice. Pain bright, real. Good, Cal thought through the pain. The core is dark. It feeds on pain. Come on then. The heat exploded. Not controlled, simply poured out. The 2 holding his arms flew back. Not from a strike, from the core's release through the skin. The third stopped. Looked at the hands that had been holding Cal a second ago. Burned. Cal rose from the floor. Slowly. His face burned from the blows. Probably a broken nose. Didn't matter. Looked at the orcs. The core red, brighter than before. Not a glow anymore, almost flame. Quiet, dark red, licking his hands from fingers to elbows. The lead orc watched. In his eyes no longer laughter. Once more, said Cal quietly. Leave. They didn't leave. Fine. All right. Cal entered the line of orcs and went to work. It lasted 3 minutes. Then silence. 9 orcs lay in the tunnel. Not all dead, 3 or 4 alive, but unable to move. Cal hadn't deliberately killed those who were no longer in the way. But orcs are tough. Strikes with a full core broke bones. What happened to them after was not his concern. He himself held on. Barely. The core wrung out almost dry. The red glow faded. Hands ordinary. Dark with blood, not all of it his. The forearm bleeding more heavily. Ribs 2 or 3 broken from the orc's blows. Nose definitely broken. Face swelling. Stood and breathed. The exit is there. Saw light, not torchlight. Different. Pale gray. Dawn. The exit was lit from outside by the dawn. He had forgotten dawn. 10 years, only torches. Forgotten what real light looked like. Walked toward the light. Each step a separate effort. The ribs wouldn't let him breathe normally. But he walked. The exit from the cave, a vertical crack in the rock. Cal squeezed through his shoulder, struck. He cried out quietly. Came out. Fell to his knees. The ground wet. Grass. Real grass. He had forgotten what it smelled like. Green, alive, with morning moisture. The sky gray, pre-dawn. Clouds low. Somewhere far away a bird was singing, one bird, alone, quietly. Cal knelt and looked at the sky, then lay down. Face in the grass. Hands in the earth. Simply lay there. Didn't cry, there was nothing left. Over 10 years, everything that could be cried out had been. Simply lay, breathed. Felt the earth beneath his palms, the sky above his back. Air, real air, not underground. For a long time, he didn't know how long. Until the sky had truly grown light. Then he got up. Slowly, with effort. The ribs reminded him of themselves with every breath. His nose was swollen. He breathed through his mouth. The forearm he wrapped with a strip torn from his shirt poorly, but it stopped the blood. Stood. Looked in the direction where there should be a city Master Cern had mentioned once, in the early years, about cities nearby. The road to the southwest. 3 days travel through the forest. 3 days. All right. Took the first step away from the cave. Then the second. Then walked. The forest received him quietly, morning, with birds in the canopy. Cal walked and looked at the trees, real trees, alive, with leaves that moved in the wind. He had forgotten that trees move in the wind. It seemed remarkable now. Anna had said get out. Everything else you'll decide yourself. Nya had said live. Not only take revenge. Cern had said stay a good boy. We'll see, Cal thought. We'll see. Walked forward. The first day was hard. The body after the fight and 10 years in the cave was not suited to the forest. Roots underfoot, uneven ground, light too bright even on a cloudy day. His eyes ached from the gray sky. Accustomed to darkness. He ate what he found, berries, roots. Recognized them from what his mother had taught him when he was small. That was strange. Childhood memories surfaced in fragments. Mother over the garden bed. This root is safe. This one isn't. Remember. He remembered. Water from a stream. Drank for a long time. The cold water made his teeth ache. That too he had forgotten. The taste of clean water. The first night, he barely slept. The forest made sounds. Wind, branches, animals. Every sound in the cave had meant danger. The body reacted. He would jump up. Look, nothing. Lie back down. The ribs wouldn't let him lie comfortably. He found a position on the good side, legs bent. That was bearable. Toward morning he dozed. The second day better. The body began to adjust to the surface. The eyes ached less. He found a wild apple tree, sour, small, hard. Ate what he found. The stomach accustomed to cave gruel was surprised but accepted it. Found traces of a road, old, overgrown, but a road. Followed it. He thought little. Simply walked. The mind rested from 10 years of constant tension. For the first time in a long while he didn't have to watch, control, conceal. That was strangely good. The third day toward evening he saw smoke. Not a fire. Wisps from chimneys. A village or town. Ahead. He stopped. Watched. People. The first living people he would see as a free man. Not as fellow slaves, just people. Ordinary. With houses and chimneys and a life that had continued all this time while he was gone. He felt something unexpected. Fear. Not the fear from the cave concrete. Comprehensible. Something to react to. This was different. Fear of the normal. Of that which he no longer knew how to return to. All right, Cal told himself. One step. As always. One step. He walked toward the wisps of smoke. The city was called Ran. Not large, not a capital. A trading city, alive, with a market in the center and low walls around the perimeter. Guards at the gate, 2 soldiers. They looked at Cal without much attention at first. Then looked more closely. Understandable why. Tall, thin, in rags. A swollen face. Hands dark blood had dried. Walks straight, doesn't fidget. Eyes looking not the way ordinary people look. Deeper. Darker. One guard stepped forward. Put his hand on the hilt of his sword. Stop. Who are you? Calvaries. From the village of Aaron. Aaron, the guard thought. That's to the north? Wasn't there? A raised village. Yes. A pause. I was in captivity. 10 years. In a goblin cave in the mountains. The guard looked at him. 10 years, he repeated. Yes. Came alone. Yes. From a goblin cave. Yes. The guard slowly took his hand off the sword hilt. The other guard behind him watching in silence. Come with me, said the first. To the commandant. He'll want to talk. Cal nodded. Followed him. Walked through the market by a side passage, not through the crowd. People around ordinary, with baskets, conversations, laughter. A child ran past about 7 years old, with a piece of bread in his hand. Cal stopped for a second. Watched. I was like that, he thought. 9 years old. The village of Aaron. Running with a piece of bread. The child disappeared around a corner. Cal walked on. The commandant of the city of Ran, elderly, mustachioed, with the look of a man who had heard everything, looked at Cal without fear, with interest. 10 years, you say? Yes. A goblin cave in the mountains of the northern ridge. Yes. How did you get out? A pause. Broke the chain. Passed through the guards. The commandant watched. Then at Cal's hands. At the chain fragment which Cal had kept on him, hadn't thrown away. Didn't know why himself. Broke the chain, the commandant repeated slowly. With your hands. Not only with my hands. A mage. Somewhat. The commandant leaned back. Thinking. We know of that cave, he said. 3 times we sent detachments. 3 times losses. Many goblins there. And orcs. A pause. You came through alone. Yes. How many did you kill? Cal thought. Didn't count. The commandant looked at him for a long time. All right, he said at last. Are you hungry? The question was unexpected. After everything else in the conversation. Yes, said Cal. Sit down. They brought bread, boiled meat, water. Cal ate slowly. The body wanted fast. The head said slowly. Otherwise the stomach won't take it after 3 days in the forest. The commandant watched him eat. You have nowhere to go, he said. Not a question. Nowhere, Cal agreed. The village of Aaron was raised. You said so yourself. Family? No family. Understood. The commandant paused. You said somewhat a mage. Judging by the look of you, somewhat isn't quite accurate. Cal looked at him. I don't yet know exactly what I am, he said honestly. All right. The commandant stood up. There is a hunter's guild in the city. They take people with a mana core. They pay for assignments. There is a place to sleep, to eat while you get back on your feet. A pause. This is not help out of pity. It is an offer. People like you are needed by the city. Cal looked at him. People like you. Interesting. He didn't yet know what that meant in this city. Didn't know what it meant at all to be like him. The 9-year-old boy from the village of Aaron had died in that cave. The one who came out was different. We'll see who. All right, said Cal. The guild. The first night in a real bed. The Hunters Guild, a small building by the western wall. It smelled of wood and iron. Several people in the common hall looked at the newcomer, said nothing. The guild administrator, a young woman with a businesslike look, gave him a key to a small room on the 2nd floor. Tomorrow registration. Mage rank, core assessment, trial assignment. Briefly, without excess. Sleep now. The room was small. A bed, a table, a window. The window looked out onto the street. Cal snuffed the candle. Lay down. Looked at the ceiling. He heard the city. Not the cave. The city. Voices outside. Distant laughter. Somewhere a dog. All of it ordinary. Ordinary sounds of an ordinary evening in an ordinary city. He didn't sleep for a long time. He thought of Aina. Where is she? That camp. She was sold to another one, farther away. Finding her possible. Long, difficult, but possible. He thought of Nia, left 8 years ago through the tunnel. Whether she had survived, he didn't know. He hoped she had survived. He thought of the village of Aaron. What is there now? Ruined houses, overgrown fields. Maybe already rebuilt. Maybe not. He thought of his hands, the red glow, broken chains, 9 orcs on the tunnel floor. A dark core that had fed on 10 years of darkness. What are you now, Calvaries? He thought. 9 years stolen from you. 10 years in the dark. Came out with what you have. And what is that? He didn't know the answer, but he felt it existed. Ahead. Somewhere out there where he needed to go. closed his eyes. The core pulsed quietly. Not dark now, just alive. Warm. His own. Anger is fuel, Cern had said. Not the driver. Good, Cal told himself. Remembered. Outside the window the city lived. An ordinary evening, ordinary people. Cal varies, 19 years old, from the raised village of Aaron. With a dark core and 10 years in the dark behind him lay in the first free bed and listened to how the world lived that had been waiting for him all this time. Morning came with noise. The city woke up loudly. The voices of merchants, cart wheels on cobblestones, somewhere a blacksmith already striking early, hard-working. Cal woke at the first sound. The body over 10 years had grown accustomed to reacting to any noise. Lay there. Looked at the ceiling. Alive. Free. In a bed. All right. Got up. Washed from a basin cold water. His face still swollen. His nose hurt at the touch. Looked at his reflection in the water. For the first time in 10 years he saw himself. Didn't recognize himself at first. Expected that boy. 9 years old. Slight. With a round face and frightened eyes. Saw someone different. Tall. Sharp features. Dark hair long. Tangled. Eyes gray. Deep. Looking as if accustomed to seeing through darkness. Scars several, on the arms and shoulder. Nose slightly crooked after yesterday. There you are, Cal thought. 19 years old. Looked for another second. Then pulled himself away. Downstairs, to the common hall. The guild administrator, her name was Mara, was waiting with papers. Short, 30 years old. With that businesslike look of people who have seen a great deal and stopped being surprised. Beside her an elderly man with a crystal on a chain. A mage assessor. Registration, said Mara. Name, origin, history. Then core assessment. Then rank. Questions? No. Good. Speak. Cal told it. Briefly. The village of Aaron, captivity, 10 years, came out yesterday. Without details that weren't necessary. Mara wrote. The mage assessor listened with the look of a man who is interested but doesn't show it. The core formed on its own. The assessor asked when Cal fell silent. Almost. One person taught me a little. Do you know what type of core? Dark, said Cal. That's what my teacher called it. The assessor looked at him more closely. Mara raised her eyes from the papers. Dark core, the official name is Rage Core, said the assessor. Rare. A pause. Extend your hand. Cal extended it. The assessor pressed the crystal to it. The crystal was transparent, the size of a fist. Upon contact with the core, it was supposed to give a color and intensity. The crystal changed. Slowly. Not immediately. First it warmed slightly, then turned red. Then the red grew darker, deeper, almost black red. Then it began to crack. Small cracks across the surface like a web. The assessor pulled his hand back. The crystal fell on the table. It lay covered in cracks, red on the inside. Silence. Mara looked at the crystal, then at Cal, then at the assessor. Nothing like this, she began slowly. Has happened, said the assessor. Evenly. Professionally. In 20 years of work, nothing like this. Cal looked at the cracked crystal. Is that bad? The crystal is rated for rank A, said the assessor. It cracked, which means the core pushes harder. A pause. Officially rank A. In reality, higher. How much higher needs a different crystal to measure? I don't have one like that. Silence again. You are 19 years old, said Mara. Not a question. Yes. 10 years in captivity. Yes. And rank above A. That's how it turned out. Mara looked at him, then closed the papers. Opened others. All right, she said. Official rank A. For now. The trial assignment is standard for A. Then we'll see. A pause. Cal varies. Welcome to the Guild of Ran. News in the guild spread fast. By evening, everyone knew. The hunters in the common hall varied. Some looked with curiosity, some with distrust. A few demonstratively didn't look at all, which also said much. Cal sat in the corner. Ate properly, for the first time in 3 days properly. Observed. Habit. 3 approached deliberately, with that look when people want to test someone. Seasoned hunters, all rank B or thereabouts. Confident in themselves, accustomed to hierarchy. The main one of the 3, broad-shouldered, red-haired, with a scar through his eyebrow. Sat down across from him without invitation. Heard rank A with a broken crystal, he said. Heard correctly, said Cal. From where? Trained for 10 years. The red-haired one smirked. The 2 behind him as well. Trained in a goblin cave. Yes. Funny. All right, said Cal. Evenly, without emotion. The red-haired one hadn't expected that reaction. Had expected anger or embarrassment. Got neither. Frowned. Rank A out of nowhere is suspicious. I understand, said Cal. I'm not asking you to believe it. The assignment will show. The red-haired one looked at him. Something in Cal's eyes stopped further questions. That darkness you can't explain or name precisely, you simply feel that the person has seen things you haven't seen. And it has changed him. All right, said the red-haired one. Got up. We'll see on the assignment. They left. Cal continued eating. They're testing, he thought. Normal. I would test too. He noticed the girl in the evening. She sat by the window in the far corner of the hall. Alone. In front of her a bowl of food she had barely touched. Looking out the window at the street, at the darkening sky. Dark hair short, cut unevenly. Light eyes. Thin knot with a working thinness, a different kind. Clothes simple, clean. On the wrist a thin scar. One. Like from a rope or a thin chain. Cal looked at her for a second. Then she turned. Felt the gaze. Their eyes met. Cal didn't look away. Neither did she. Light eyes. He had seen eyes like those before. Long ago, 8 years ago, in the darkness of the cave, beside him on the cold stone. No, he told himself. It can't be. 8 years. A different city. A different life. But the eyes. He stood up. Walked to her table. She watched him warily. A hand under the table toward her belt, where a knife probably was. Excuse me, said Cal. One question. What? Is your name Nya? Silence. The girl went pale. Slowly. As if the blood drained from her face. Who are you? She said. Her voice quiet. Tense. Cal, he said. Cal varies. More silence. Then she stood up. Quickly. The chair fell back. She looked at him close, directly, and in the light eyes was that which happens when a person doesn't believe what they see and is afraid to believe in case they're wrong. Cal, she said. Not a question. Just the name. Quietly. Yes. You got out. Yesterday. She closed her eyes. A second. 2. Then opened them. Something gathered in them. Not tears, something before tears. 8 years, she said. I spent 8 years thinking you were still in there. I was, said Cal. Until yesterday. Alive. Alive. Nya looked at him for a long time, at the scars, at the broken nose, at the dark eyes. Scanning quickly, precisely. Like a person who has learned to assess danger. She's changed too, Cal thought. 8 years. You can see it. Let's sit down, she said at last. Evenly. Picked up the fallen chair, set it right. Gathered herself the way you gather broken things, quickly and professionally. They sat. Were silent for a long time. Then she said, How did you get out? Broke the chain. Passed through the guards. How many were there? Orcs 9. Hobgoblins 15. Goblins many. Nya looked at him. Alone. Yes. Silence. The core, she said. Yes. Dark? I cracked the assessor's crystal today. Nya exhaled. Slowly. Sir knew, she said quietly. He told me when he was teaching me that Cal has a dark core, it will grow. A pause. I thought maybe he didn't live to see it grow. He lived. I can see. The silence was different now. Not empty. Filled with 8 years, shared darkness, with that which doesn't need explaining because the other person beside you was there too. Your sister, said Nya. Cal looked at her. Aina. Nya's voice even, prepared. The way people speak when they carry something heavy. I know where she is. Tell me, said Cal. Nya looked at him. Assessed not with hostility. Checking his readiness. The Orc Camp Kretz Pass, she said. 3 days to the north. Not goblins, orcs. A different clan, larger. They trade slaves with human merchants. A pause. I found the trail 2 years ago. Tried to get there alone, couldn't. Rank B. There are too many of them. She's alive. Based on the information I have, a month ago she was alive. What it is now I don't know. Cal sat. Looked at the table. 10 years he had waited for the moment he would get out. Got out. And on the first evening of freedom, there was already somewhere to go. Aina. You've been trying alone for 2 years, he said. Yes. Now there are 2 of us. Nya looked at him. You got out yesterday, she said. Ribs broken from the way you breathe. Nose. Cut on the arm. She listed it calmly. 3 days in the forest without proper food. A pause. Recover first. How long to recover? Ribs a month. A week. Cal. A week, he repeated. Then we go. Nya looked at him. A long pause. You're as stubborn as before, she said at last. Worse, said Cal. Something flashed in her eyes quickly, barely visible. Not a smile, something before a smile. Long forgotten. All right, she said. A week. Then I'll tell you everything I know. The week was needed not only for the body. The first 2 days the body rested. Slept a lot, more than he was used to. Woke at every sound the first nights. Then less. Ate properly. The stomach accepted human food without trouble, adapted quickly. The body was taking in what it had been denied. The ribs hurt. Not mortally. He moved carefully. From the 3rd day, the trial assignment. Mara issued a paper. Standard for rank A. A wyvern din 2 hours from the city. A wyvern a class B creature, winged, venomous. For A it should not be difficult. Kel took the assignment. When alone. Nia wanted to go with him. It's a trial assignment, he said. Alone. A wyvern. Alone, he repeated. She looked at him. Understood that arguing was pointless. Don't die, she said. I'll try. He found the wyvern by its tracks. A den in the rocks, small, one individual. Young the size of a horse, not a house. It came out on its own since the human, attacked from above. Kel stepped aside. The wyvern missed, turned in the air, second pass. The tail with its venomous spike lashed. Kel caught the tail. That wasn't planned. Just instinct. His hand seized the tail he yanked. Kel held on. The wyvern roared, struck with its wings. Kel down to one knee, pulling the tail toward the ground. The wyvern pulled upward. Heavy, strong. Without the core he couldn't have held it. With the core his hands burned red and held. The ribs sharp pain with the yanking. 3 broken ribs under physical strain. But he held. The wyvern fell. Hard. Tried to get up, struck with a wing. Cal one strike with the core. To the head. The wyvern went still. He stood over it, breathing through the pain in his ribs. All right, he thought. Assignment complete. He cut the proof a scale with a marking, brought it to the guild. Mara looked at it, then at him, at the way the ribs were making themselves known through his breathing. With broken ones, she said, yes, fast. 2 hours there and back, said Cal. Rank A confirmed, said Mara. She wrote it down, then looked at him. You've been here 3 days and already want something serious. Yes. What? Kretz Pass, said Cal. The orc camp. There. Mara stopped her pen. Kretz Pass is not an assignment, she said. It's a zone the guild doesn't take. Too many orcs, several clans, fortified positions. Not for the guild, said Cal. Personally. Personal matters don't concern the guild, said Mara. Evenly. But you're on a trial period. If you leave, it's formally a violation. How much of the trial is left? For days. I'll wait, said Cal. He turned. Walked. Varies, said Mara from behind. He stopped. There are several hundred orcs there. And not only orcs. A pause. This is not a wyvern. I know, said Cal. You're alone. There are 2 of us. 2 against several hundred. Cal turned around. Looked at her. My sister is there, he said. Silence. Mara looked at him. Then nodded. Once. Slowly. She said nothing more. Cal walked on. They set out on the 5th day at early morning. Nia packed quickly. It was clear she had done this before, not for the first time. Movements precise. Nothing unnecessary. Light leather armor fitted to her. 2 short blades at her belt. A small bow across her back. Cal almost without equipment. Clothing he had bought in the city. Decent. A knife at his belt, more for practical use. His weapon was something else. Nia looked at him when they passed through the gates. You're going without a sword? Yes. To an orc camp? Yes. Cal. Nia. She looked at him for a second, then shook her head. Walked on. Stubborn as before, she said without looking back. Worse, he reminded her. 3 days of travel they talked. The first day they were silent. Both accustomed to silence, both valued it. They walked, watched, listened to the forest. By the evening of the first day, Nia told him about herself. Briefly, in facts. Got out of the cave, made it to a village in the south, survived. A year just surviving. Then found a person who taught magic and combat. Rank B by 20. Guild 2 years. A good hunter. You were searching for Aina's trail for 2 years, said Cal. Yes. Why? Nia didn't answer immediately. She thought. Because she was kind to me there, she said at last. In the cave. When I arrived new, almost broken. She talked to me. Not like a slave. Like a person. A pause. You don't forget that. Cal was silent. Aina, he thought. Of course. She always knew how. The second day, they talked about the cave. Not heavily, just facts. The way you examine something distant. Which overseers, which slaves, what had changed in the 8 years after Nia left. Cern died, said Cal. I know, said Nia. I felt it. A pause. He was a good man. Yes. He taught you more than me. He had more to give, said Cal. To you and me differently. What to you? Control. A pause. He said anger is fuel, not the driver. Without that, the core would probably have eaten me from the inside. Nia looked at him. At the dark eyes, at the still face. Thinking about something. Are you angry now? She asked. Always, said Cal. It doesn't show. I learned not to show it. Is that bad or good? Depends on when, said Cal. In a fight, good. In life, I don't know yet. The third day, the forest began to change. Denser, darker. A different smell, wild, with something sharp in it. Orcs marking territory. An old method, crude, but effective. Close, said Nia. Yes. They stopped. A map with Nia hand-drawn, from information she had gathered over 2 years. The camp is in a gorge, she said quietly. The only entrance from the south. Fortified positions at the entrance, guards around the clock. Several structures inside. The slave barracks here at the far end. A finger on the map. Orcs according to the latest information 230. Give or take 20 patrols going out and coming back. 230, said Cal. Yes. Of those, how many are fighters? All fighters, said Nia. An orc clan, all warriors. Women, children, no. Only fighters. Cal looked at the map. At night, he said. Yes. Guard rotations, I found out. At 2 in the morning, the shortest interval. A pause. But Cal. 230. Yes. This is not the goblin cave. I know. How many were there? Orcs 9. Goblins and hobgoblins about 20 that I fought. Here, 230. I know, Cal repeated. You don't need to kill all of them. You need to find Aina and get out. He looked at the map. You take the barracks. Find Aina, get her out. I take the entrance and everything in between. You alone hold the entrance against 230 orcs. Not all at once. The gorge is narrow. The entrance is narrow. They can't all pile in at once. 5 or 6 at once they can. Yes. And you think you can manage? I think I'll try, said Cal. Those are different things. Nia looked at him for a long time. A very long time, with those light eyes that knew how to see beyond words. If they kill you, she said at last, I won't be able to get Aina out alone. If they kill me, it means I didn't grow enough, said Cal. Then you leave. Without Aina. He looked at her directly. Promise me. No. Nia. No, she repeated. Firmly. I won't promise to leave without both of you. A pause. So don't die. Just don't die. Then everything will work out. Cal looked at her. He didn't answer. But something in him shifted. Slightly. Barely noticeably. That emptiness that had been inside him since the first night in the cave became a little smaller. 2 in the morning. Complete darkness. The moon behind clouds. The forest soundless. Cal and Nia at the entrance to the gorge in the shadow of a rock. They watched. For orcs at the entrance. Torches 2 on each side. The orcs weren't dozing like goblins. They stood. Moved. Watched. More serious, Cal noted. Nia beside him. Breathing steady. Gaze calm. 2 years she had been preparing for this, and it showed. I go around to the right, she said quietly. You go straight. No, said Cal. Go straight to the barracks. Don't waste time at the entrance. I'll manage. There are 4 of them at the entrance. That's fine. Nia wanted to object. She looked at him. She didn't. 2 minutes, she said. When the noise starts, I'll have 2 minutes before the camp is fully awake. 3, said Cal. 3, she agreed. Go. Nia slipped into the darkness along the rock. Soundlessly, she moves well. 8 years of work. Disappeared. Cal stayed at the entrance. Looked at the 4 orcs. He gathered the core. Slowly, fully. The dark red heat spread through his body. The ribs reminded him of themselves, already quieter. The weak had helped. Bearable. He stood up. Stepped into the torchlight. The first orc saw him. Barked something. Raised his spear. Cal didn't stop. He walked. Evenly. The second orc beside the first raised his club. 3 meters. 2. The first orc struck with the spear. Straight at the chest. Cal took the spear on his forearm, deflected it to the side, stepped inside the distance. A strike with the core into the orc's chest. The orc flew back. Hit the rock. Stayed there. The second club from above. Cal half a step to the side. The club into the ground. Grip on the orc's wrist. A yank. Loss of balance. Elbow to the back of the head. Down. The third and fourth cried out. Already at the throat, the alarm, he didn't let finish. A leap over 2 meters. First strike to the throat, quiet and precise. The fourth turned to run. Cal caught him by the shoulder, yanked back, struck. Silence. For seconds. For orcs. 3 minutes for Nya. He entered the gorge. The camp woke fast. Someone saw at the entrance cried out. Then another cry, another. Orcs poured out of the structures, many, with weapons. Torches flared, the camp lit up. Cal stood in the center of the gorge passage, the only entrance. Behind him, rocks on both sides, 2 meters wide. Orcs could come in 3 abreast, no more. First wave 7. Running, roaring. Cal exhaled. Fixed his position. Feet shoulder width, slightly bent. Core outward, both hands glowing dark red. First orc axe wide. Cal under the axe, grip on the wrist, yank. The second orc receives the first into his side, both fall. Third, a straight punch with the core. Into the chest. Orc stops. Falls. The fourth came from the side, good, smart. Cal took the blow on the shoulder, flew back a step, held his ground, answered 2 strikes, fast. The orc fell. 5th, 6th, 7th piled on at once. This is different. 3 orcs gripping him, enormous weight, pressing toward the ground. Cal not against the weight. With the weight. Dropped sharply, all 3 expected forward resistance, got downward instead, lost balance. Cal beneath them, core release outward away from his body in all directions. The 3 were thrown off. He got up. 7 lay there. Behind them more. Many. The camp fully awake. Orcs moving toward the entrance a stream. Good, Cal thought. They're all coming to me. Meaning they're not going to the barracks. Meaning Mia has time. Exhaled. Felt the core burning well. Much still in it. However long I hold, I'll hold. The next wave came. Time blurred. A fight is not minutes and seconds. A fight is strikes, positions, breath in, breath out. Pain you set aside for later. The orcs came in waves. The narrow throat of the gorge did its work. They couldn't all pile in at once. But they pressed. Constantly. Each wave angrier than the last. Cal fought methodically. Without beauty, without unnecessary movement. Ariel, if she had seen, would have said this is not the fight of a hunter. This is the fight of a person who has nothing to lose except the goal. Strike. Slip away. Grip. Throw. Strike with the core. Again. The legs began to tire at the 15th minute. Not to fail to tire. He felt this, noted it. Redistributed the load. Started moving, less holding position more. The shoulder hit with a club. The same shoulder as in the cave. Sharp pain, familiar. The arm worked. Meaning not broken. Meaning forward. The core was spending down. The rate of release high, the reserve falling. Felt this, the red glow slightly dimmer. Just slightly, but he noticed. How much time has passed, he thought. 10 minutes? 20? Yeah, find her fast. An orc with a 2-handed sword pushed to the front. Large even by orc standards. Scarred, experienced, you could tell by the movement. He didn't run, he walked. Waiting for Cal to tire. Smart. Smart ones are dangerous. The large orc didn't attack immediately. Stood 3 meters away. Watching. Cal watched him. Behind the large orc, the others slowed. Looked at theirs. Waited. A leader, Cal understood. Or one of the leaders. If he goes down, the orcs may falter. If he falls, there may be disarray. The large orc attacked. The 2-handed sword fast for that size. Horizontal, then downward, then a thrust with the pommel. A combination. Cal read every movement. Dodged, retreating a step. Sword downward, step to the left. The thrust, he caught the pommel, yanked. The large orc didn't release the sword. Pulled. Strong, very strong. Without the core, he couldn't hold it. With the core, Cal pulled back. The red flared bright in his hands. The metal of the pommel heated from contact with the core. The orc released it, pulled his hands back. Cal, the orc's sword in his hands. He turned it. Struck flat side to the temple. The large orc fell. Silence in the camp a second. The orcs looked at their leader. Then they roared. More savage, more furious. Not disarray. Rage. Worse. But from the corner of his eye, Cal saw movement by the far structures. A silhouette, quick, familiar. Beside it, another one. Slower. Yeah. And with her, someone. Aina. Something inside clenched and unclenched. Pain and warmth at the same time. Alive. He clenched his teeth. Gathered the core, what was left. The last of it. The orcs came in a new wave. Kal. Nya's voice to the right. Loud. Meaning close. He couldn't turn. 3 orcs in front of him. One already grabbed. One hand held the orc's throat. The other hand blocked a club strike. Kal, we're getting out. 2 options. He shouted back. Through me or through the wall, your choice. A pause. Second option. Nya shouted. Then stay away from the wall. The orc in the grip, Cal struck him into the second orc. Both fell. Third with a club, Cal took it on the back, lurched forward from the blow, held his ground, turned, struck the last big core release, everything that remained into the orc's chest. The orc flew back. Cal felt the core empty down to minimum. Almost empty. Bad. He turned. Near at the gorge wall. Beside her a woman. Aina Cal saw from 20 meters, recognized immediately. Older, thinner, movement stiff, long captivity. But standing. Alive. Nya was looking at the gorge wall, vertical rock, about 5 meters. Not tall. Can do it by hand. If the hands are free. You'll lift Aina, said Nya. I'll manage on my own. Orcs behind Cal's back. Many. Core almost empty. Fast, said Cal. He ran to Aina. She looked at him. In her eyes the same as in Nya's. Doesn't believe what she sees. Later, said Cal. Up now. Hands on my shoulders. Aina nodded. She had learned to follow commands quickly. Captivity. She grabbed on. Cal to the wall. Hands on the rock. Went up. Fast. Well, rocks are his. 10 years on stone walls. The body remembered. The orcs reached the wall. Nya bow. 3 arrows fast. Precise. The first 3 orcs fell. The rest stopped for a second. Cal reached the top. Swung Aina onto the flat surface. Climbed over himself. Extended a hand to Nya, who was already climbing. Pulled with a yank. She flew up. The orcs below roared. Several tried to climb. One made it halfway. Nya struck with the pommel of her blade on his fingers. Orc down. Run, said Nya. They ran. Along the top of the rocky ridge, fast, uneven, dark. Aina stumbled. Cal held her hand. Nya ahead. She knew the way. The orcs below shouted. Several ran through the gorge toward the detour. But the detour was longer. The people had time. They ran for a long time. Until the shouting behind grew quieter. Then quieter still. Then forest, silence, only footsteps and breathing. They stopped after an hour. Nya knew the place, a small hollow behind a rocky outcrop. Enclosed on 3 sides, canopy above. They lay down. Breathed. Silence. Long, real. Only the forest around. Then Aina turned to Cal. Looked at him. In the darkness you couldn't see her face well. But he felt the gaze. Cal, she said. Quietly. Hoarse voice from captivity. Aina, how many years have passed? 10. Almost. She said nothing. Simply took his hand. Held it. Cal sat and looked into the dark of the forest. 10 years ago the cave. The chain. The darkness. One leg in a spiral ring to the wall. Now forest. Freedom. Aina beside him. It still hadn't fully settled. Such things don't settle right away. Later, he told himself. Let it settle later. Right now alive. All 3. That's enough. Dawn came quietly. Gray at first, then pink, then gold between the trees. Birds the same as on the first morning when he came out of the cave. One, then many. Cal hadn't slept. Sad. Watched the light come. Nya beside him. Also hadn't slept. Aina was sleeping, heavily, deeply. Her body resting. Where to now? Said Nya quietly. Not to him specifically. Just aloud. Cal thought. To the city, he said. Aina needs to recover. Treatment. Time. After? I don't know yet. Nya watched the golden light between the trees. You said in the cave, she said, that you would learn. Study them. Yourself. A pause. You studied. Part of it. Which part is still not done? Cal thought. Why, he said. Nya turned to him. Explain. I know how to survive, said Cal. I know how to fight. I know there's a core inside that grows while I'm angry, and I'm always angry. A pause. I don't know why. What comes next? After Aina what? Nya looked at him for a long time. That's an important question, she said. I know. Is there an answer? Not yet. Aina stirred in her sleep. Said something indistinct. Then quiet again. She told you live, said Nya. Not only take revenge. I remember, said Cal. I said the same. I remember that too. And Cal looked at the golden light. At the trees. At the sky that was gradually turning blue. I'm learning, he said at last. I don't know how to live yet. I know how to survive well. A pause. Those are probably different skills. I need to learn something else. Nya was silent for a minute. Then she said, I don't know how either. Quietly. Honestly. 8 years after the cave. I thought I would learn. Not completely. A pause. Maybe together it's faster. Cal looked at her. She was looking to the side. At the trees. Her cheek lit by the dawn. Light eyes. Maybe, he said. Silence. Good silence. Not empty filled. With that morning, that forest, with the fact that all three were alive and ahead was unknown what but something. Aina woke slowly, heavily, opened her eyes, saw Cal, looked for a long time. Still here, she said. Still here, Cal agreed. Aina exhaled, closed her eyes again, then opened them. I'm hungry, she said. Nya smirked. For the first time in 3 days. Pulled bread and dried meat from her bag. Here. Aina took it, ate slowly. Cal looked at his sister. At Nya. At the forest around. The core pulsed quietly. Almost empty after the night. But alive. Warm. A dark core, he thought. Feeds on pain and anger. There was plenty of pain. Anger is there. But right now, what else is this? Not anger. Something else. Beside it, warmth too. A different warmth. He didn't know what it was called. I'll find out later, he decided. For now, the road back. The city. Aina. Nya. We'll see what comes next. He stood up. Extended a hand to Aina. Let's go, he said. Long road ahead. Aina took his hand. Stood up. Nya was already standing, looking at the road to the south. They walked. The city of Ran met them with rain. Fine, gray, the kind that isn't a downpour and isn't a drizzle, just everything is wet, and the sky is low, and the city's mood is like a person who didn't get enough sleep. The three entered the gate tired, dirty, smelling of 3 days in the forest. The guard at the gate, the same one who had let Cal through 5 days ago. He looked, recognized him, then saw the 2 women beside him. He said nothing. Let them through. The guild through the market, left, a narrow street. Cal walked ahead, Nya behind him, Aina between them. She moved slowly. Captivity had left its mark in her legs, in her back. She didn't complain. Aina barely spoke at all since the previous night. She looked a lot. At the city, at the people, at the sky. The way a person looks who has grown unaccustomed to the world being large and open. Cal noticed this and said nothing. He knew from his own experience. It passes. Not quickly, it passes. At the guild door, Mara, standing as if she had been waiting. Maybe she had been. She looked at the 3 of them. Alive, she said. Alive, Cal confirmed. She needs a healer. Mara nodded toward Aina. Yes, there's someone. Mara turned. Follow me. She didn't ask about the camp. Not now, later, then. Cal noted it. Understood, she respects that. The healer, elderly, calm, with those hands that know what they're doing. Examined Aina. Then Cal. Then told Nya she was in the best condition of the 3 and could leave. Nya didn't leave. Stayed by the door. The shoulder, said the healer to Cal. Another blow to the old injury. Not good. I know. The ribs got worse. I know. The nose is healing crooked. It needs to be broken and set right. No. Cal, said Nya from the door. No, he repeated. No time. Later. The healer looked at him with that expression healers have who are accustomed to patients saying no time and knowing how it ends. He said nothing. Wrote something down. Gave ointment for the shoulder. Aina was drinking something warm that the healer had brought. Looking at Cal. Your nose is crooked, she said. Character, said Cal. In Aina's eyes something flashed. Very quickly. That old familiar thing. The village of Aaron. Dinner. She grumbling and him stealing her ribbons. Then it faded. Replaced by what was there now instead. 10 years they were both different people. We'll find it again, Cal thought. Not what was but what is. It's different. But we'll find it. In the evening Mara called for Cal. Office small, working. Papers, maps, a candle. Mara sat at the table. A chair across from her. On the table 2 cups. Cal sat. Took the cup. Warm wine. Drank. The York camp at Kretz Pass, Mara began. 2 clan leaders dead. Several dozen more. A pause. You did this? Yes. Together with Nya. The leaders me. She did other things. Mara looked at the papers in front of her. Orc clans don't forget blood feuds, she said. That's a fact. The Kretz Pass clan will send someone. A pause. That's your problem, not the guilds. But sitting in the city and waiting for them to come is not smart. I know. You need to move. I know. Aina can't move right now. I know, said Cal. That's why Aina stays here. Nya stays with her. I move. Mara looked at him. Alone? Yes. Where? I don't know yet. Cal thought. Where I need to go. Where you'll send me if there's an assignment. Mara leaned back. Drank wine. Thought. There is one, she said at last. But something else first. This morning there was a man. From Royal Intelligence. Wanted to know who attacked the camp. A pause. I said I didn't know. Cal looked at her. They'll find out on their own, he said. They will, Mara agreed. They're good. A pause. The question is why they're looking. Intelligence doesn't always look in order to punish. Sometimes to hire. Or to eliminate, said Cal. That too, Mara agreed. Honestly, he respected her for that. I don't know yet why, but it was worth warning you. Thank you. Mara nodded. Picked up a paper. An assignment, she said. To the southeast, 2 days travel. The village of Corn. People are disappearing 3 in a month. The local guard found nothing. They're asking for a hunter of rank A or higher. A pause. The pay is good. They live poorly, but they pay everything they have. Cal looked at the paper. A village. People disappearing. They live poorly. The village of Aaron, it crossed his mind. They lived poorly too. They would have paid everything they had too if someone had come to help. I'll take it, he said. At night Aina came. Cal wasn't sleeping, he sat at the window. The rain continued, the street wet, sparse lights. Thinking of nothing specific. Just sitting and looking. The door quietly. Aina came in. Sat on the edge of the bed. They were silent. Then she said, Nya told me. About the core. All right. A dark core. She repeated it slowly. Is that true? Yes. You for 10 years. Yes. Aina was silent. Looking at him in the darkness. Did it hurt? Sometimes. A pause. More often no. A rage core doesn't hurt. It warms. He paused. That's scarier than the pain. Why? Because pain says stop. This says keep going. Aina thought. Can you stop? I don't know, said Cal honestly. I haven't tried to stop completely. I can control it. Haven't tested stopping it. Did CERN tell you anything about this? He said anger is fuel, not the driver. Watch that there's enough of yourself left inside. Is there enough? Cal thought for a long time. For now, yes, he said. Ask again in a year. Aina looked at him. In her dark eyes something complex. What you see in older sisters who see that their younger brother has grown into someone they don't fully understand and love and fear at the same time. You're leaving tomorrow, she said. Yes. An assignment. For long. I don't know. A pause. Nya is with you. She's reliable. I know she's reliable. Aina quietly. I don't mean that. I mean you just got back. We just found each other. And you're leaving again. Cal looked at his sister. She's right, he thought. It's not fair. 10 years apart, and again leaving tomorrow. I'll come back, he said. You didn't promise to come back from the cave. You just got out. Now I'm promising. Aina looked at him. For a long time. It's the first time, she said, that you've made a promise. Yes. So it's serious. Yes. She stood up. Came over. Embraced him like then, like in childhood in the house in the village of Aaron, only tighter and longer. Come back, she said quietly. Just come back. Cal held on. Said nothing. The village of Aaron. Fire in the hearth. Mother smelling of green things. Father laughing loud enough for the whole street. Aina grumbling. That no longer exists. But this does. Different. Also real. I'll come back, he said. Morning alone. As always. Nya walked him to the gate. Stood, watched. Wanted to say something, didn't. He did too. 2 days there, he said. The assignment, I don't know how long. Then back. I know, she said. I heard when Mara was talking. All right. Cal. Yes. Your nose, said Nya. Really get it fixed. When you come back. He looked at her. All right, he said. He walked. Road to the southeast. First day dry after the night's rain. A muddy road, forest on both sides. He walked fast. The body had found the rhythm of the road. Already a familiar rhythm. He thought about the assignment. People disappearing 3 in a month. A village asking for help. There could be many reasons. Wild creatures, bandits, something else. Usually simple. Sometimes not. He thought about intelligence. The man from Royal Intelligence who had come to Mara. Why would Royal Intelligence want someone who had destroyed an orc camp? Hire them, as Mara said, or eliminate them. If hire, interesting. If eliminate, unpleasant. We'll wait and see. By evening, a small village on the road. An inn. Cal went and ate, paid. The innkeeper, not young, talkative, looked at him with that mixture of curiosity and caution that comes toward lone travelers with dark eyes. Hunter? He asked. Yes. Where are you headed? The village of Corn. Do you know it? The innkeeper's face changed. Barely noticeably. But Cal saw such change as well. I know it, said the innkeeper. 2 days to the east. A pause. Then more quietly. It's become a bad place. Since spring. What happened since spring? I don't know exactly. The innkeeper wiped the table, not looking at Cal. Merchants from there stopped coming. The last one who came was a month ago. Said you can hear something from the forest at night. He paused. Not clear what exactly. But you can hear it. From the forest at night, Cal repeated. Yes. The innkeeper raised his eyes. You're going alone? Yes. Maybe you shouldn't go alone. All right, said Cal. Thank you for the food. He lay down to sleep, felt the core reacting to the conversation. Not with anger. With curiosity. Something from the forest at night. A creature? Several? Tomorrow we'll see. The village of Corn was small. 20 households, no more. Fields behind it, forest on 3 sides. On the fourth a river, small, fast. Cal arrived at midday on the second day. The village was alive, but tense. You felt it right away. People didn't sit out on the street, they moved fast, about their business, and looked at the forest often. A reflex. When you've been afraid of something for a long time, you keep looking there. Children inside. Not a single child in the street. Bad, Cal thought. When children don't come out, it means this isn't the first incident, and everyone knows it. He found the headman a not young man, sturdy, with worry lines. He looked at Cal and sized him up. Young, alone, no army behind him. You're a hunter, he said. Not a question, a clarification. Yes. Alone. Yes. We asked for help. We thought someone would come. I came, said Cal. Tell me what you know. The headman told him. The first person to go missing, a young man, had gone to the forest edge for firewood in the evening. Didn't return. They searched tracks to the edge of the forest. Beyond that, nothing. The second, a middle-aged woman, had gone to the river in the morning. Disappeared. Tracks to the river, lost at the water. The third, a boy, 8 years old, was playing by the fence. His mother turned away for a minute. Turned back, gone. 8 years old, said Cal quietly. Yes, said the headman. His voice with that quality people have when they cannot help a child. Cal looked at the forest. Dark, dense, summer. At night you can hear something from the forest, he said. What exactly? Voices, said the headman, and fell silent. Whose voices? Human. A pause. Almost human. Almost, Cal noted. He waited for night in the headman's house. Ate, rested, listened. The village people came and spoke. Each one added something. By night Cal had a picture. 3 missing, all at the edge of the forest or by the water. Voices at night from the northern part of the forest, in different places, but always from the north. Once someone had seen something moving between the trees. The description imprecise, frightened. Tall, darkish, doesn't move like a human. A creature that can imitate a human voice, Cal thought. Hunts near the water and forest. Leads the victim away, tracks vanish. Doesn't eat on the spot, leads them away. Lure, Cal recalled. A lure, a dark class B creature, rare. Hunts by imitation. Leads the victim into the forest, paralyzes it, carries it to its burrow. Doesn't kill, immediately keeps them. Keeps them. 3 missing, he thought aloud. Alive. The burrow somewhere nearby. Lures don't carry their prey far from the hunting ground. The creature turned its head. Heard his voice. It knows I'm here. It attacked fast. Not the way large creatures attack, slowly and powerfully. Fast, fluid, like water flowing. A long limb like a whip horizontally. Cal ducked under it. Rolled. Got up. The lure turned. For limbs in different directions. Hard to track all of them. Voice imitation isn't its only weapon, Cal thought. The limbs are fast, long. Need to get to the center of the body. A mana core in creatures like this is in the center of the chest. No, he doesn't need this creature's mana core. He needs to find the burrow and get the prisoners out. A different plan. I don't need to kill you, he said to the creature. I only need the place where you're keeping the prisoners. The creature was no longer imitating a voice. It looked at him with those small eyes that reflected moonlight in the darkness. It attacked again. 2 limbs from above, 2 from the sides simultaneously. Cal core outward. A jump, not to the side, forward, under the limbs, toward the body. A strike to the center of the chest with the core. The creature flew back. Fell. Got up more slowly. Pain. Good. Meaning the right spot. Where is the burrow? Said Cal. The creature looked at him. Of course it didn't answer. It didn't speak, only imitated. All right. The creature attacked a 3rd time. More savage. 1 limb grabbed his shoulder. Yanked. Cal yanked back. Core through the grip. Straight into the limb. It let go. Cal struck. Again to the center. Harder. The creature fell. This time it took longer to get up. Again. Another strike. Same place. And again. On the 4th strike the creature made a different sound. Not a voice, something of its own. Sharp, short. Then it turned. Ran. Cal after it. Didn't try to catch up, watched where it went. The creature ran toward the eastern part of the clearing, toward a large fallen tree. Stopped beside it. Looked back at Cal. Under the tree darkness. The entrance to the burrow small, concealed. There it is. The creature stood between him and the burrow. Watching. Cal looked at it. Move away, he said. The creature didn't move. Move away and I don't touch you. Only the prisoners. It stood. Doesn't understand words. Understands force. Core release, not a strike. A wave. Strong, directed. At the creature. It flew to the side. Fell. Lay there. Cal to the burrow. The burrow was larger than it looked from outside. He ducked inside total darkness. Lit the torch reflex. He had flint in his pocket. The fire lit an earthen tunnel, low, about 1.5 meters. Smelled dampness, something organic. He crawled. After 10 meters of widening. A small chamber. And 3 people. They lay there unbound. Just lying there. Breathing. Cal checked first. Alive. A boy 8 years old. A woman. A young man. Alive, he exhaled. All 3. The creature paralyzes, he knew that. Not permanently, temporarily. While they lie in the burrow, they're under its effect. In the open air, they'll recover. He took the boy first. Over his shoulder. Crawled back. Got out. Night, forest, moon. The creature nowhere. Gone. Good. He laid the boy on the grass. Went back for the woman. Then for the young man. 3 people lay on the clearing. Breathing. Cal sat beside them. Waited. The woman came to first. Opened her eyes, looked at the sky. Didn't understand. Then understood. Try to get up. Quietly, said Cal. Lie still. It'll pass soon. Where? Voice hoarse. In the forest. The village is close. You're safe. The boy a few minutes later. Opened his eyes. Saw Cal. Got scared. I'm from the village, said Cal. People are looking for you. Home soon. The boy watched. Then cried. Quietly, like a child. Cal looked at him. 8 years old, he thought. Like me when they took me. Something in his chest tightened. Not the core. Something beside it. The boy cried. Cal said nothing. Just was there. Sometimes that's enough. The village met them with commotion. Cal came out of the forest at dawn with 3 prisoners. The boy walked on his own, holding Cal's hand. The woman and young man walked weakly, with support. The first to see them, a sentry at the fence. Shouted. The others came running out. The boy's mother fell to her knees right in the road. Didn't look at Cal, looked at her son. He went to her. Fast, despite the weakness. Cal stepped back. Made room. Noise, embraces, tears. The village alive, loud, warm in that moment. Cal stood a little to the side. Watched. Something he couldn't name it, yet something warm inside. Not the core. Different. This is it, he thought. What Aina was talking about. Live. Not only take revenge. This is part of that live. Not a big revelation. A quiet one. But something had shifted. The headman came to thank Cal later. When the commotion had died down. Put a small pouch in front of him. Cal took it. Didn't say it was little. The village is poor. This really is everything they have. The creature is still out there, said Cal. I didn't kill it. It will probably move on. A pause. Put up a denser fence. Don't go to the forest alone at night. Especially children. Would you have killed it? Asked suddenly the boy. That same one, 8 years old. He stood beside his mother, looking at Cal. I could have, said Cal. Why didn't you? Because there was no need. You're alive, that's enough. The boy thought. What if we had died, he asked. Would you have killed it then? Then yes. So you only kill when you have to. I try to. The boy nodded. Seriously. Like an adult, children who have been frightened grow up quickly. You're a good hunter, he said. Cal looked at him. At that face, 8 years old, round, with frightened eyes that were already a little less frightened. I try to be, he repeated. The road back 2 days. The first day he walked fast, thought. About the assignment, it went well. 3 alive. The creature not killed, but gone. The village warned. This is what normal work looks like, Cal thought. Not war. Work. Found them. Helped, left. This is different from the cave and the orc camp. This is something you can do every day without becoming only anger. The core pulsed quietly. Not hungry after the assignment. Almost satisfied. Interesting, he thought. A dark core feeds on pain and anger. But in the village I wasn't angry. I was saving people. And the core isn't hungry. Meaning it feeds on more than just anger. What else? He didn't know. He noted it would ask someone who knew. On the second day, toward evening, the gates of Ran. The guard let him through. Cal walked to the guild by the already familiar road. And stopped. At the entrance to the guild stood a man. Tall, reddish skin, sharp wicked eyes. Dressed in human clothing, good quality. Standing with his back to the door, looking at the street. As if waiting. He turned when he heard footsteps. Dern. The hobgoblin Cal had let go in the cave. They looked at each other. I let him go, Cal thought. He brought someone here. Mara said Royal Intelligence was asking. It's connected. Dern didn't move. Didn't attack. Stood. Calvaries, he said. In human language cleanly, almost without an accent. You remember me. I remember. I waited, said Dern. I can see that. Cal didn't move closer. Watching Dern's hands, his belt, what was behind him. Why did you come? To talk. What do we have to talk about? About, said Dern, who sent me. A pause. And about what they want from you. Cal looked at him. Who sent you? People, said Dern. Not goblins. People. Who need a person with an absorption core. He clarified. A dark absorption core of a certain level. Absorption core, Cal noted. That's not something I said out loud. That's what the assessor wrote down. Or what was felt by someone who knows how to feel it. What do they need it for? That, said Dern. They'll explain better than I can. A pause. I'm a go-between. Nothing more. His sharp, wicked eyes watched without fear. In the cave you let me go. I remember that. Remember it, said Cal. That's why I came in person, said Dern. Honestly, not through an ambush. Not through deception. A pause. The people who sent me, they're not bad people. They simply have a problem that only someone like you can solve. How do you know I'm not a bad person? Cal asked. You let me go, said Dern. A bad person doesn't do that. Cal was silent. He looked at Dern. Thought. A hobgoblin he had let go came himself honestly to warn him. That says something. Doesn't guarantee. But it says something. Mara said intelligence is looking. Could be to hire, could be to eliminate. If it's those people, why through Dern? Intelligence would have come themselves. Meaning different people. Where are they? Asked Cal. In the city, said Dern. The inn by the northern gate. Tomorrow morning, if you want to meet. If I don't want to. They'll leave, said Dern simply. They'll find someone else. People like you are rare. But they'll find one. Or they won't. Then they have a serious problem. What kind of problem? That, again, they'll tell you better than I can. Cal thought. A second. 2. Tomorrow morning, he said. Dern nodded. One piece of advice, he said. Free of charge. A pause. The people who sent me, listen to them. They're smart. They won't threaten you or pressure you. They'll offer. That's different. A pause. Know how to tell the difference. I do, said Cal. Dern nodded again. Turned. Walked away. Cal watched him go. The hobgoblin he had let go. Came honestly. Warned that there would be an offer, not a threat. That's interesting. He went into the guild. Nya was waiting in the common hall. She saw him, stood up. Assessed him quickly. Alive. No serious wounds. Assignment complete. Exhaled slightly. Did it go well? Yes. 3 alive. Good. They sat. Cal told it briefly. The lure, the burrow, the prisoners. Nya listened, nodded. Then Cal told her about Dern. Nya's face changed immediately. She listened, not just attentively, tensely. The hobgoblin from the cave came himself, she said when he fell silent. Yes. And says he was sent by people. Yes. Nya was silent. Looking at the table. Nya, said Cal. You know something. A long pause. 8 years, she said at last. After the cave. I said a year just surviving. Then I found a person who taught me. A pause. That's not the complete truth. Cal looked at her. Tell me. Nya raised her eyes. The person who taught me, she said, he was from an organization. Not the guild. A different structure. They call themselves the Quiet. A pause. They seek out people with rare cores. Not to use them. To protect them. She looked at him. That sounds implausible. Keep talking. The Quiet, they know about zones of instability. About the fact that the world is changing. Creatures are growing stronger. Goblins are organizing that camp in the mountains. The orcs of Kretz Pass, those aren't coincidences. Someone or something is coordinating them. A pause. The Quiet gather people with the right abilities. They're preparing for what's coming. Cal was silent. You're connected to them, he said. I was. 2 years ago I left. Her voice even. Not because it was bad. Because I found Aina's trail, and that became more important than everything else. And now they came through Dern. They know about you, said Nya. A dark core ranked above A at 19 years old. For them, that's exactly what they're looking for. A pause. Cal. They're good people. I'm not saying join them. I'm saying listen. You trust them. The ones I knew, yes. Cal thought. The Quiet. An organization that knows about the coordinating force behind the goblins and orcs. Preparing people. Seeking rare cores. Anger is fuel, not the driver. Where to direct the fuel, that's the choice. The cave, the orc camp, the village of corn, all of it was without direction. Reaction. Survive, save, leave. What if there's a direction? Tomorrow morning, he said to Nya. You'll come with me. Nya looked at him. That's not an order, he added. A request. I'll come, she said. Morning northern gate. The inn small, clean. Dern waited at the entrance. Nodded toward Nya, recognized her or not. Didn't show it. Led them inside. A room on the second floor, 2 people. A woman and a man. The woman 50 years old, calm, with that particular look of people who are accustomed to seeing everything on a scale larger than one person. A mage rank, Cal felt it immediately. High. Very high. The man younger, 30, sturdy, with a plain face and complex eyes. The woman looked at Cal for a long time. Then at Nya. Nya, she said. Glad to see you alive. Same, said Nya. Neutrally. The woman again at Cal. Calvaries, she said. Sit down. We don't have much time and much to talk about. Cal sat. Nya beside him. I'll begin with honesty, said the woman. We know almost everything about you that can be known from the outside. A dark core, 10 years of captivity, what you did in the cave and after. A pause. We're not going to pressure, threaten, or bargain. She looked directly at him. We'll tell you what we know about what's happening to the world. You'll decide yourself what to do with it. Speak, said Cal. The woman nodded. Zones of instability, she began. There's not 1 or 10. Hundreds across the continent. They're expanding. Creatures are growing smarter and more organized. Goblins are building underground cities. Orcs are creating military alliances. Something or someone is leading them. A pause. The royal army isn't managing. The guilds aren't managing. We need people with rare cores, with non-standard abilities, who can do what an ordinary mage or warrior cannot. People like me, said Cal. Yes. And what do you want? We offer, she corrected. Not want. A pause. Information about what's happening. Support resources, connections, teachers if needed. And assignments. Not guild assignments, a different scale. In exchange for what? For your participation when the time comes, said the woman. I know that's vague. I can't give you specifics. Because the specifics depend on what comes and when. Cal looked at her. The coordinating force behind the goblins and orcs, he said. You know what it is. The woman's face changed slightly. Just barely. We have suspicions. What? A pause. An old creature, she said slowly. Very old. It hasn't seen the surface for 1,000 years. It's waking. A pause. Gathering an army. Silence in the room. 1,000 years, Cal thought. An army of goblins, orcs, creatures. Waking up. And they need a person with a core that grows without limit. I understand, he said. You do? Yes. Cal looked at her. I'll tell you the same thing I told Dern in the cave. A pause. Not now. The woman waited. I need time, said Cal. Aina is recovering. Until she's fully back on her feet, I'm not going anywhere. A pause. When she is, we'll talk again. Then I'll say yes or no. The woman looked at him. Then nodded. Fair, she said. And one more thing, said Cal. One question. Yes. The old creature that's waking. Does it have a name? The woman a long pause. It's been called many things, she said at last. But the oldest name in the language of the creatures we studied sounds like. She said something. Almost unpronounceable. People translate it as he who was before. Quiet. Cal committed it to memory. He stood up. Nya stood beside him. We'll meet again, he said. They left. On the street, Nya walked beside him in silence. No rain, a sunny morning, the first in several days. What do you think? She asked. I think, said Cal, that the world is large. A pause. Larger than the cave. Larger than the orc camp. Larger than I thought when I got out. And a dark core that grows without limit, he said, is perhaps exactly what's needed for this. Nya walked beside him. Sunlight on her light eyes. When Aina is back on her feet, she said. Yes, said Cal. Then, they walked along the street of the city of Ran. Morning. The market was waking up, the smell of bread, voices. An ordinary city. An ordinary morning, behind which everything else was not ordinary. Cal walked forward. The core quiet, steady, dark red inside. He who was before, he thought. 1,000 years underground. An army of creatures. Waking up. Interesting, he said to himself. And for the first time in a very long time, that word didn't mean fear. Simply interesting.